Hi, so good to see you. So excited to hang out with you today. So this is my podcast called Maddie on My Mind, and today's episode is about femininity. Nicole Raffi, I hope I'm saying her name right, recently did a video called I'm Not Like Other Girls, I'm Worse. And I was inspired by it. I took a lot of notes and I wrote down what I wanted to cover in this episode. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is mainstream art. Prime examples of this, we have the current pop icons. We have Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo, Chappell Roan, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish. These are all like very influential women in the pop world right now. And there's a lot of both support and negativity coming out for these women. And one thing that like Nicole talked about that I really wanted to talk about is like liking it and not being ashamed to like it. You know, like if something is popular, if an artist is popular, they're popular for a reason. It's good music. Like millions of people would not be listening to these artists if it was not good music. So that's one thing. It's for some reason hard for people to admit it. And I can relate to this personally. I love Taylor Swift. I do. I saw her in concert. I've loved her since I was as young as I can remember being. Yeah, and like I try to admit that I like her when people ask me who my favorite artist is. It's kind of like scary too because I know that the majority of people, men or women or whatever gender, are going to like have a negative reaction to me saying that I like Taylor Swift. I was with someone the other day and I asked them what their Spotify Wrapped was going to be, and they said, "Oh, blah blah blah. What's yours?" And I was like, "Well, my top two are always Taylor Swift and Mac Miller." And they said, "Well, I can get behind one of those." I think that a huge part of this is just like popular, very successful women. And the way that nobody wants to see that. And like, I think about an interview with Taylor Swift where she was like responding to the criticism that like she only writes songs about her exes. And she was like, Ed Sheeran does that, Bruno Mars does that. Like, why is no one criticizing them? And it's true, it's because people don't want to hear it from a woman. And that's just the start of it because Taylor Swift is white, she is cis, she is conventionally attractive, she is straight from what we know. And so that's just something to be said is like, why does everyone already hate this artist who is just the only reason they hate her is for her being a woman? And then how are people of color and queer people supposed to gain this level of stardom? And that's part of what I want to talk about with Chappell Roan. Chappell Roan has grown into this like persona. She's in drag. She's very adamant about advocating for queer rights. She's very openly queer. And it's so amazing that that has finally started to rise to popularity. Yet, people still want to criticize it because she is a woman creating art successfully. One thing that irks me to my core is when someone likes an artist, say it's me, or someone wears a shirt of an artist, say it's me, and another person is like, oh, you like them? Name 5 songs. And we've seen this phenomenon in the Brandy Melville Nirvana shirt that a lot of girls are wearing. And then every time someone wears it on TikTok, everyone in the comments is like, name 5 Nirvana songs, all this stuff. And I understand like poser culture and how it's like kind of weird to wear like a shirt of a band you've never listened to. But I will say, I've never witnessed that happen to a man. And I will also say that you don't have to be an expert to enjoy a band or to enjoy a t-shirt. It's like only super fans of Nirvana can wear Nirvana shirts. And that's just not true. Like, Nirvana is not some underground indie band that you like can gatekeep. Like, Nirvana is one of the most influential rock bands arguably ever. And so like wearing a shirt that says Nirvana on it is not like reason for like quizzing somebody on the songs. It just feels demeaning in a lot of ways. I reposted something that was like, oh, you like them? Name 5 songs. Name 5 women you see as more than just an extension of the men they know. Borrowing music. I don't know if this is just a personal experience. I love my brother very much. I'm gonna preface it with that. Growing up, I would listen to some of his music that he would play, and I'd be like, dang, that's a really cool song. I'd add it to like my liked songs or whatever, and then when I would play it out loud, he'd be like, did you take that song from me? And I always felt the need to defend myself, like, oh no, like I found this in my recommended, like stuff like that, and I still do that. It's like a bad habit where I'm like, why am I ashamed of like liking other people's music and borrowing it? That's another part of the gatekeeping thing. Why can't we share? Like, no, like artists put art out into the world for everyone. There are only a few artists I've seen who like denounce their fans, like, I don't want you guys, like Doja Cat. But like, in terms of so many artists, like, I don't think they're picking and choosing how cool the people are that listen to their music. It doesn't matter. I want my friends and people I meet to like the same music I do. Like, that's not something I feel the need to like hide from others. Like, I want to share it, and like art is meant to be shared. It's never been meant for like one person's enjoyment. Another thing I want to cover is the idea of a basic white girl. So, my dear friend Mac and I were talking, and Mac, arguably, in the eyes of pop culture, is a stereotypical basic white girl. She carries a Stanley Cup. She wears like mom jeans and cute little tops. She likes Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter. I mean, she's beautiful, she's smart. She and I were talking, and like this phenomenon of being a basic white girl is so odd that its ethnicity is factored into it, because Mac, shocker, is not fully white. And this like odd thing of adding an ethnicity to like an aesthetic is so strange to me. Like, and then we think of it in other contexts, like the hot Cheeto girl that's been like blatantly racist. And it's the same thing for like the basic white girl thing. And it's just discrediting like a huge community of people. That's something I wanted to say. I don't know if you've seen that clip. I have no idea what it's from. It's like, can I get a pumpkin spice latte? And I want it freezing. And then he's like, yeah, sure, the name. She's like, I'm kidding. Those white girl pumpkin spice lattes drive me crazy. And then he's like, name. And she's like, Senorita Awesome. And it's really funny, actually. But my main, like, gripe about that, since when is liking pumpkin spice, like, basic? That's one. Another thing, since when is liking pumpkin spice like a white thing? Like, I just don't, that doesn't compute for me. We can't associate a flavor with an ethnicity. And like, so what? You want your pumpkin spice latte and you want it freezing. Like, can we not leave it up to personal preference? Like, why do we feel the need to be different from other women for like this male praise that we get? Like, oh, like, I don't like pumpkin spice. And it's like, wow, like, you're so different from all the other girls I've met. And it's like, well, okay. Like, I personally, not the biggest pumpkin spice fan. I'm not like parading around talking about it so that men can like tell me they're proud of me for not like conforming to their image of what a woman is. Part of that is like putting other women down for liking something and like actively rejecting it in front of other people is very different from just not liking something. Like, oh, I don't wear makeup, like that girl's wearing so much makeup. And like saying that in front of a man for his attention and praise. But it's like, you might not like to wear makeup. I know a lot of women who don't. But I know a lot of women who do. That's personal preference. So who are we to like announce that we don't like that in front of someone else? Because that literally is just a way of belittling other women for your own benefit or like popularity, I guess, attention. Sometimes you can not like something and just not like it silently instead of pulling other people, other women down for liking something. And one other thing I wanted to say about like associating things with gender when they don't need to be is the pink Pilates princess phenomenon. I don't know if you've heard this, but pink Pilates princesses are these girls who wear cute little matching yoga sets and they go to Pilates and they're like ballet core. They have like a great like snatched waist. And like that's great. And I do believe in maintaining safe spaces for women, especially for in workout spaces, because many gyms are very unsafe feeling and uncomfortable for women to go. We've seen that. But I also think like why do we need to generalize an athletic sport to be with a gender? Like in I think Violent Crimes by Kanye, he said, don't do no yoga, don't do Pilates, just play piano and stick to karate. It's like, why are these passions and hobbies being associated with a gender? Pilates is a very, very difficult sport. It's different from karate because they're different, but it's just as beneficial. Like, why do we have to make young girls feel weak for wanting to do certain things? Like ballet or Pilates, or maybe they like fashion or are into horseback, or I don't know. This ridiculous notion of like weakness is put upon these like feminine things. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about today is being perceived from the outside as cool or interesting or unique or different. I think Emma Chamberlain did a podcast about this of like, do I want to be pretty or do I want to be interesting? And this is like, I think, a very relatable topic for a lot of us women. Being pretty is a great way to fit in to a large scale, but it also is a great way to be judged for interests or intellect or personality with no real background. I think all of us have this like internal prejudice of like surface level appearance and associating that to the person. And that's something I struggle with personally is like, how, when I walk down the street, how do people perceive me? And I don't know that a lot of men have that same kind of feeling because the men in my life don't seem to care too much about like this self-conscious, like, what are they thinking of me thing. And obviously this is not to generalize men, this is like saying from the men that I know. I'm constantly thinking like, I put on an outfit in the morning, I'm like, is this feminine enough to be pretty but also for people to think I'm smart? Or when I put on a masculine outfit in the morning, I'm like, okay, I should wear my hair down because people won't think I'm pretty if I wear a masculine outfit and have a bun. And then I'm also thinking like, but if I'm dressing feminine and like pretty, then maybe other women won't think I'm interesting. They'll think I'm basic and like maybe they won't know surface level that I'm queer because I'm not dressing like a butch lesbian. Like there are these layers of perception that are stacked up into physical appearance that like I think I always grapple with and many women always grapple with. That is all I have. Thank you so much for watching and tune in whenever I release it next. Bye.